You see cars, and I do too. But I also see art in motion. I can and I have interpreted what I see in human terms. To me, far too many cars filled with lonely people. Even when they park, they're alone. I see unnecessary loneliness, a modern protection from being hurt, an avoidance of in-depth and meaningful relationships, an avoidance of total commitment and unconditional love. That is, the giving of oneself to another completely. Scary, isn't it? There's always that lingering thought, what if I get hurt? TV is a strong influence, and many have adopted what they see. That is, internalizing all the negatives and have become captives of their own misguided thoughts. They have an empty life, not based on reality, but on suggestions by the media. You see, the selling of fear is good for selling products, but is not good for you. Of course they're unhappy, but they say we are safe from being hurt. When in their rooms alone with doors closed from the outside world, they do want to strip naked and be earthy. See, touch, be touched, taste, smell that man or woman. But fear intercedes. A real-life encounter would be so nice, but what if I got hurt? I say, risk getting hurt. It is worth it. There's nothing better than the feeling of another human heart sharing intimate space and time. Without risk, we, as people, would not evolve. The hammer would never hit that nail for fear of hurting that thumb. See what I mean? Just keep in mind that relationships, like all things human, must evolve. But how does one start to reach out if the only thing you've ever done was to be alone and be afraid? Let me suggest. First, by erasing from your mind all thoughts of limitations, come to grips with the fact that chances are your parents and the influential adults of your formative childhood days were wrong. Their fear and failures need not rule your life. Understand clearly that a lifetime of mistaken beliefs need not be crippling. Relationships are people-related. Playing God is not more important than being real human beings. We make errors and mistakes, and they are learning tools. We should not judge using unrealistic rules, and we must learn to forgive. So, how does one start to reach out? Simple. By saying hello and not caring what others think. Just decide that fear will no longer rule your behavior. Not everyone is out to kill you and hurt you. As I said, just start by saying hello. The next time you're in the store and you see that person that you find attractive, and for God's sake, do not use TV models as your images of reality. Anyway, the next time you see that person, look them in the eyes, smile, and then say hello. Is it scary? You bet. But if they smile and they say hello, be prepared to compliment them on something. If they say thank you, then smile and say nothing. Wait. Let the other person start the conversation. If there is no conversation, just move on. Pick yourself up and do it all over again. Courage, after all, is also faculty of the mind. But what if there is conversation? Then it could be the start of something amazing. Just allow that relationship to evolve, slowly, step by step. Just remember that just as you're a person not without flaws, that other person is also a person not without flaws. As I said earlier, playing God and judging people as a God would is not more important than being human beings. If that person is the one, and you do want to go into a relationship, then you will know in your heart. And when you do not go into the relationship with a planned out. That is, do not commit only to a point, because in the back of your mind is that nagging thought, what if I get hurt? Okay, what if you do get hurt? Is not sharing your life better than not sharing? Just go into the relationship determined to keep it fresh and to keep it exciting. That's the important thing. Experiment and enjoy all those earthly thoughts you had when you were alone in your room. Many relationships fail because the people involved took each other for granted. Routine became boring and familiarity soon bred contempt. It's true. So right about now you're asking yourself, who is this guy and why does he think he knows anything? Good question. The fact is I don't know anything, and that is why I listen carefully, with heart and mind. When I'm in presence of smart people, especially older smart people, they have taught me through the years the so-called secrets of relationship. I'm merely conveying to you what I have gleaned from their wisdom. One couple told me that their relationship lasted for all those years because the D word was never allowed in any conversation. The D word, of course, meaning divorce. divorce was never an option. No matter what was happening, that was not an option. They would work it out. Unfair fighting was never allowed. If a question was asked, it was asked because a real answer was needed. A question was never asked to initiate a fight. So that led to honest answers. To the bigger problem of infidelity, the question, what did you see in him or her? And then the other person would simply shut up and listen. There was always an answer, and somehow the problems were always resolvable, if only the other person would listen. One woman told me that her husband was a flirt. She knew it, and he knew it. So she would not change him. She simply allowed him to be himself, with rules. Come to find out, his fantasy world had certain desires that were doable. Sorry, I can't get into the details right now, because they were so risque, but so much fun. And there they were, in their 70s, enjoying his fantasies. Another couple told me that their standards were very high in real people terms. They would always state what they mean when stating would not be done to hurt the other. They had observed in some of their friends that their friends' words were mostly meaningless junk. For example, when they said, "I love you," she meant "I love your," whatever, money, car, or whatever. And she was silly enough not to understand that her man knew what she meant, and then he saw her as someone who could be bought. Respect went out the window. She became his property by her misplaced sense of loyalty. He, on the other hand, would say it for ulterior motives, and she understood clearly what that was about. Many people, unfortunately, allow the baggage of the past lives to dominate their present life and relationship. Some saw the flaws in their mate as excuses to fight constantly, rather than opportunity to correct and to forgive, or to accept. Anyone can use excuses to fight. Real people, when committed to each other, welcome honesty and reasons to patch things up and make things better, rather than the waste of time and energy in fighting. Remember what is true. Cherish and grow what is good, exciting, passionate, sensual, delicious, fantastic, all things good in your relationship, so that when an indiscretion does occur, if it ever does, the goodness and beauty will always outweigh the errors. See, I told you I listened to the older folks. Have you ever watched the Jerry Springer Show? Oh, what an education, not to mention the comic relief that it is. The problems shown are almost always problems consciously created by the people involved. Watch it and see if you can see anything or something that makes you angry. Maybe whatever it is that makes you angry is something that you ought to examine in yourself, in your own life. In other words, cheap psychology of yourself. It is my personal opinion that marriages, relationships that is, forget one of the most important factors in life. In all relationships, there is change. People either change or grow together, or they grow apart. The fact that the change is so gradual is what makes it so insidious. As I said earlier, if an error occurs in the relationship, ask why and then listen to the answers. I mean, really listen to the answers. Listen with your mind and heart and choose not to fight, because resolution is always better than destruction. In summary, it is really important to get rid of stupid perceptions. It is simply not true that people should only love one person at a time. It's impractical. It is also not true that people don't change, because they do. Television is about fiction and fantasy, but we live in a real world with real people. You should live your life, not the life you're told to live. After all, you really should learn to forgive. 70 times 7. Where have you heard that before? And of course, finally, don't wallow in the negatives. Stop imprinting anger, bitterness, ugliness, spitefulness, revenge, all those negative things. Learn not to promote a negative atmosphere at home. Home should be a place to go for comfort, joy, ecstasy, and orgasmic experiences, not a place to run away from. But what do I know? Just the same, somebody you know should listen to this, right?